everybody. The Kornelia Stephanie Show. Wake up to love, your call to action. Join Kornelia as she empowers others to live heaven on earth. Kornelia teaches listeners how to be the authority over yourself, embracing your inner guru. Feel yourself uplifted into limitless expansion, integrating ease and grace in a changing world. This show will cover topics such as unconditional love, your physical body, how to be in extraordinary relationships, create financial and emotional wealth, embracing entrepreneurship in the new earth. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Kornelia Stephanie Show. It's Friday, and we've got our Stories of Hope series. My first guest today is Chandra Gore, and I was just speaking with her in the back room, and we ended up getting involved in a relationship. In a discussion about relationships that was already so good. I wish it would have been already live. So hopefully we'll be able to pick up where we left off. But first, let me tell you a little bit about her. She has successfully worked with entrepreneurs and brands to create foundations for long-term success and also gain visibility outreach by developing and implementing strategies that build brand loyalty and trust with her consulting and public relations firm, Chandra Gore Consulting. She's the author of several books and a speaker on business strategies, media relations, and entrepreneurship topics. Launching her media outlet Conversations with Shan, which includes a podcast, YouTube channel, and publication. She shares tips, stories of others, and more. She's a contributing writer for Newsbreak, Swag, Her Magazine, and Pretty Women Hustle Magazine. Welcome to the show today, Chandra.
Thank you for having me.
It's wonderful to have you on. Thank you for being our first guest today on our Stories of Hope. One of the things that we were talking about is relationships.
Yes.
Right? We were talking about relationships, and you said you wanted to highlight something specifically about.
So, we get into relationships. We always think that, they're going to turn out for the best and everything. And when we touched on earlier, like friendships, it seems like they have more weight than a romantic relationship. And so I'm in this new chapter. Well, I've been in this new chapter of my life where I'm learning that, the end of a relationship, the realization that someone really didn't like you in the relationship really was in a self-serving space in the relationship. You end up beating yourself up and thinking that you did something wrong, when in actuality, it wasn't you, it was really them. And you can't internalize that. And so, like you said earlier, you grieve that. But it's like once you grieve and you forgive yourself and you move forward, you're able to go into your new chapter with those lessons learned so that you don't make those same mistakes again. And so that really does apply to romantic relationships as well as friendships. But friendships hit a little bit harder though. Those are a whole. I think I grieve the end of a friendship way more than my relationships. And that's the saddest part. That is the realization that that's a connection that it surpasses, that romantic side, because I think that romantic is like one dimensional, but friendships have so many different levels. So, it's, learning those lessons have helped me to be the author of, you're the author of your own book. So as I'm writing my next chapters, I'm being more aware, I'm being more intentional, and I'm being more forgiving and giving myself grace.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. That's a beautiful model of, what we all want to be for ourselves. Because one of the things I believe is that the relationship that you have with yourself is the greatest love story ever told.
You're absolutely correct. I do. And it's like, you find yourself, like, I look at myself now and I'm like, I look back at pictures and I'm like, oh my God, that look like death on a cracker. But now it's like the glow I have, the sense of confidence I have, the love I have for myself. It's like, I'm happy to see the transition. I'm happy to see the evolution. And it's like, I loved myself then, but I did not love myself in the right way that I needed to be loved then.
Yeah, because, back then we were still looking for love outside of ourselves. Will you
Correct.
love me? Will you approve of me? Will you accept me?
Exactly.
Even if we don't share the same views.
Correct.
I see that a lot too in the world today in uh the division that is happening in the world, even more dividing people rather than uniting people, rather than looking for the commonalities that we have, what we have in common, because really we are on the same side. But can we create the bridge, like you said earlier, or can we create space so that I can understand your views a little bit better, and maybe you can offer me the same.
Right. And it's once we look at the fact that sometimes we are the same, like we all have the same goal. We all want to live, we all want to have a great life, we all want to have those things. Then once we take away the other stuff that's like minutia, it's pointless, then we'll see that we all have the same common goal. We love our families, we love our pets, we love others around us. So it's like that should be the main thing. Love is key. Like that is the underlying thing. Everybody like, so those other things that are detrimental or distracting, you need to let those things go and just really realize like, there's a common ground, you know.
That's it. Can we meet on the common ground, and can we sit with each other and listen to each other when there's something that we don't understand, rather than Xing out the relationship because you said a word, or you belong to a certain political party, or whatever the religion, or whatever
So
the thing may be, because ultimately, like you said, you know love is the answer. Love is who we are. And
right.
what else do we have in common? We can make that list, right, of all the things. So this is really awesome that you're writing your next book, you're writing your next chapter. And so where are you in the process now?
I am in the greatest part, like I'm in the greatest space, the self-discovery. Like it's like, I'm outlining my life pretty much, like where do I want to go next? What things do I want to do? Like I say like a lot, but it's a beautiful situation for myself because when I realized I was stuck in a box, and it was a dark space. And now that I'm looking at it, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm looking at all of the things I can do and accomplish and continue like to be happy about those things that I have. So it's like this new, like, it's like looking at all of my accomplishments that I did not celebrate. I'm
Oh yeah.
celebrating them. I'm creating new things that I can celebrate. I'm going towards things. It's a beautiful, beautiful situation. So I'm at that point where everything is a celebration because I cowered down and I made those things small for so long and I didn't appreciate those accomplishments. Like, it's just, so this chapter is celebratory. It is a joy, it is a happiness, it is, I have no choice. Like, and I smile so much because I'm making up for those smiles that, I didn't have. So this chapter, I want more smiles than tears.
Yeah. I
So
think, again, that's a beautiful self-love
yeah,
action that you're taking, the modeling of that, and honoring. And again, making up for all the times that you didn't honor the celebrations. So this is beautiful. I definitely want to come on your podcast. So make sure that you talk to Ashley and get that.
I
Uh,
would love to talk, like, because we could probably chat for hours because
totally, totally. Yeah, I definitely want to talk to you again. But I also want to find out, how old is your son?
my youngest son is 16. My oldest son will be 21 this year, and my daughter is 19.
Jesus, you look like a baby yourself. I mean, it's amazing that you have three kids, and you really, so how proud are they of you?
They're my biggest accomplishments. I can't like they keep me going. Like they make me smile so much. They tell me all the time. Like I used to, they cheer me on when I don't cheer myself on. So
Yeah.
that is the feeling like my babies. And
Yeah.
I can't, like, they get on me all the time because we'll be in public and I was like, and I call them, by a nickname or my babies, and it's, they're adults. Well,
Yeah.
two of them.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think the modeling that you're doing, the celebrating that you're doing, everything that who you're being with yourself,
Yeah.
uh, is a wonderful model for the future leaders on our planet, which is the children.
This generation that's coming, ooh. I think their self-awareness, and they are really firm on what they believe, and they're the game changers.
Yeah.
They're going to be the ones that change everything. And I'm like, I'm happy for them. I'm
Yeah.
excited to see what they're going to do.
Totally. It's going to be really great to see how this is going to unfold. And it's all about their empowerment and their because we created this mess, right?
Yes.
We created this mess, and now it's up to us to, make that right.
Yep.
Make that right and speak the truth and, support each other and create a better environment, the right environment that does not involve suppression and abuse and toxicity and all those things.
I look at it, and it's like, they are very, like, they're not going to be silenced. They're going to own their feelings. They're going to speak about it, and they're going to make the changes. And I'm so happy to be able to see that.
Yeah, me too. Let's tell the audience how they can look you up and how they can follow your journey or, look at your books, all that good stuff.
So you can find me at chandragoreconsulting.com or conversationswithchan.com. Either one, it'll take you to my platforms, and also how to reach me and reach out and talk. I always end with conversations begin with a smile. So before you hit send, make sure you smile so that I can see it. So that's
Um,
that's
yeah.
my thing.
Yeah, you definitely are radiating your smile. I just really appreciate having you on the show today and as my first guest. And, let's definitely hook up because I also would love to maybe even collaborate with you further about, a longer podcast, things like that.
I would love that. That would be so awesome.
That would, yeah. Keep doing that good work that you're doing and keep writing those chapters. I just want to close by saying that I remember when I sold my house, I remember the feeling that I had when I sold my house. I walked out of the title company, and it was a big deal. I was by
Yeah.
myself. It was a big deal. I was like, was walking to the car, and I was sitting there, and I was going, now who do I know that I can call to celebrate this with me
Oh,
to the
no.
fullest, not just anybody in the index, not just anybody just like, hey, I just sold the house. Oh, rah, rah, way. No, somebody that really gets me and somebody that really can celebrate with me to the fullest. Who can I call that I can talk to with this? And if that person answers the phone, great. If that person doesn't answer the phone, fine, because I only want the best.
I totally get that. I go through that now.
So go ahead and keep celebrating, and we're celebrating you. And thank you so much for coming on the show
Thank
today.
you for having me.
Yeah, we're going to take a break on the Kornelia Stephanie show. We'll be right back, everyone. Welcome back, everyone, to the Kornelia Stephanie show. I can't wait to introduce you to our next guest, Louisa Havers. She's in the UK, and she's phoning from there right now. She's an internationally renowned business success coach, and she's a master manifesting teacher, a master Akashic records teacher, and soul journeys method. So she's got all the credentials there. She enables high achievers and coaches to unlock their superpowers, turbocharge soul aligned magnetism, and lift the ceiling in both their lives and in businesses. It's a journey Louisa knows works as she personally has undertaken it. Years spent leading change in the highly pressurized and stressful social services sector led to shingles and chronic fatigue, compelling her to break free from the corporate matrix of overwork. It was the first step for her to creating her own life of freedom and dream business income. Louisa enables clients across the globe to activate quantum leaps to success in their own journey to fulfillment, self-love, and a 6-7 figure income. Daring to live your life's purpose is truly possible under Louisa's loving, powerful, and insightful guidance. Welcome to the show today, Louisa.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here for our conversation today.
Absolutely. And thanks for coming on from the UK. We know it's already past 8 o'clock Pacific time, 8 o'clock PM. And so we appreciate that. Now, what is it that you want to highlight on today's show?
I'd love to highlight today something that's been really significant in my own journey is around being able to allow your higher self, your intuition to lead so that you can actually claim more of life and to break through those upper limits, the conditioning that we have, that until we start to allow ourselves to be led by our higher self, we can just kind of keep that lid on and have more of the same as I was talking about with a colleague earlier today, is that, you know, we can have these patterns where we're like, hang on, I'm just getting the same again, whether I'm working in corporate or I've moved across and changed my environment. And how do I start to create something completely different and to be able to have more of life? Because I believe we all want more of life and to live our best life.
Yeah. And so when people start listening to their intuition, tuning into their intuition, listening to the higher self, because the higher self isn't going to lead you to the same.
Exactly. Subconscious will want to take you to the same because it wants to have more of the same to keep you safe because of the familiarity, whereas the higher self's got bigger plans and they can feel scary. and so it's being able to really allow yourself to follow the flow as you listen to that intuition and, you know, have the courage to take action on the guidance, the nudges, the hunches that come through.
Yeah, I think, you know, as we're talking about this, the courage, you mentioned courage, and the other thing is taking a risk, because you're risking to step out of that patterning. You're taking a risk. So the courage and risk is something, you know, those are the tools, right? You know, there's probably another tool, you know, that can be used. But that, I want to know your advice on how does that look on a practical level for somebody that's listening right here, right now. They want to follow their higher self. They want to trust their higher self. They want to trust their intuition. And where do they begin right now?
You know, thank you for asking this question, because one of the things I love to share with people, and it's something that anybody can do, because some people will say I'm really intuitive. Some people might be thinking, you know, what intuition? I've never connected in with it. And it's to be able to use muscle testing. And one of the things that I love helping people to really understand is being able to set the intention and to calibrate your body so that you can use muscle testing so that your higher self will lead and you'll get messages from your higher self rather than messages from the fear-based, the subconscious that is wanting to keep things same. And so that you can be able to, and there's lots of different ways for people, in case people aren't familiar with muscle testing, there's many different ways that you can do it. The one that I loved using is what's called the sway technique, which is how you use your body a bit like a dowsing device, where you literally ask your body questions of, you know, yes, no questions, and you'll get a response in terms of, you know, whatever you've asked, basically. And it's a great way to be able to bypass the conscious mind, the stories that we're telling ourselves, that voice that we might hear, we might listen to more often than the soft whisper of our soul, the quieter voice of our higher self. And I have found that people, when they really can master the art of muscle testing, are able to I mean, you get to the point where you don't need the muscle testing anymore because the guidance comes through, but it's a great way for a stepping stone for people to be able to really open that up. And also when they might, you know, be listening to the ego voice that might be saying, do X, Y, and Z, just because it's a bit louder. And they haven't taken that time to be able to, I call it connecting within, where you're literally just taking a few moments to connect within, ask yourself some questions, do the muscle testing to find out what's really true in your personal energy field in relation to whether you're desiring to take action on, you know, whether a certain action is in your highest path or not.
Right. And so I love that you brought up the swag method, that is a method people can use, the yes or no, leaning asking the questions, just, you know, practicing leaning into, is this a yes? Is my name Kornelia Stephanie? And then you lean, you know, you identify first where the yes is, where the no is, and then watch your body respond to that. So that would be one way. And then of course there's other ways to muscle test. I remember when do you remember Psych K?
Yes.
Yeah, back in the day, Psych K, back in the day. Yeah. Psych K is when I, you know, first started becoming aware of the muscle testing, until I didn't need Psych K anymore, as you said, and validated that, you know, then it just became just highly intuitive and listening to the intuition. And so again, it requires taking a risk, it requires courage, and it requires trust then that what you receive then, that you will then listen to that. Like,
Yes.
like literally, like, right?
And take action on it.
Right.
And it can feel really weird, I think, when people first step into this work and start. It's like taking a trust fall with yourself, with the universe, that, you know, the action that you're going to take is going to be the right action. And I'll say to my clients is sometimes you're being the vehicle for the universe. So you might not see the result of the intuitive guidance that you were being asked to take action on. And I love that. I love the idea that you don't have to kind of see the exact results. You're contributing and playing a part in the whole picture for everybody and parts of the collective, and you may be, you know, being a contribution to somebody else in with some intuitive hit that you've been given in terms of the action to take.
Would you feel that this is called magical living, like living in our magic, really trusting what intuitively our higher self is leading, our heart is leading, right? Leading from that place, not from the ego mind, not from the past programming, and not even from, you know, just it really being led from the inside. Like, would you call that magical living? Like it's magic.
I love that. It is magical. It really does feel magical, and always a surprise and delight. And I love as I see what's reflected back to me around me, and I'm not bored by it. Do you know what I mean? It's like, this is just always exciting. So I think that magical feeling stays.
Right, because you're always curious, you're always intuitive. I mean, and really that's what it's about. It's about us returning back to our superpowers, our curiosity, our openness, and you know, being led, not being controlling.
Yes, that's exactly it. Being led, allowing, and surrendering.
And surrendering, yeah. And that keeps a really good, that you mentioned the word earlier, flow.
Yes.
Really good flow going, right?
We want to follow the flow.
Yeah. I want to let the audience know, I really enjoy speaking with you. I really enjoy this conversation. I want to let the audience know how they can look you up on social media and how they can, you know, follow you and connect with you.
Oh, thank you so much. So yes, I'm on all the platforms. You can find me on Facebook, just simply by Louisa Havers. I'm there. You'll find me. Instagram, same again, Louisa Havers. And we've got a website, louisahavers.com. And I am on LinkedIn, but I don't really go there very often. So you're best to find me on Facebook or Instagram. I tend to kind of hang out there more.
Yeah, good. Well, I'm so glad that you came on the show today to inspire magical living again, for all of us to, trust our intuitive guidance, to be led from our heart and our higher self, and to know that the universe really does have our best in heart and mind, want the best for us, and we just have to be willing to listen.
Yes.
Yeah. Louisa Havers, thank you so much for coming on the show today. We appreciate you. And we're going to take a break on the Kornelia Stephanie Show. We'll be right back. Oh, how I'm loving these conversations. Vineeta Santoshi, she is a podcast creatrix, an energy healer, an artist, and a multi-passionate. After her own healing, and we called it just now, Dark Night of the Soul and transformation journey over the past 3 years, she was inspired to launch a podcast. She engages in meaningful conversations with a wide variety of healers and coaches to empower us to transform our dark moments into purposeful light. She's also very passionate about building community, collaborating, and co-creating with others. She believes that we are the change we have been waiting for. Welcome to the Kornelia Stephanie Show.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
It's wonderful. And I love what you're doing. I love your logo, the Elevate, your background. I love what you've created since you had your Dark Night of the Soul. And I just happened to ask you, how many years has it been since that has happened? And you said?
It was lined up with the pandemic, perfect timing. So literally March of 2020 is kind of when it started. And what kind of happened was I had this incredible business that I absolutely loved with a business partner. And I thought that we were going to just explode out into the scene and all of these wonderful things, and everything fell apart. Everything fell apart, and I literally felt like a death and a divorce at the same time. And so that's kind of what kicked me into my journey, which I started kind of aligned with the pandemic.
Yeah, that was a lot of loss.
Yes, it's a lot all at once. And, when it happens, and all of us have gone through stuff, I know every single person, when it happens, it really sort of like pummels you to the ground, right? Because you're like, what just happened? And the first thing that happens is you're like, I'm a good person. Like, I'm doing good things. Like, why is this happening to me? You go into that kind of space. And I think one of the things that I learned through my journey, and a lot of it was alone, and I know that's how it's meant to be, but I didn't understand that at that time. But when you go inward, you start to ask different questions, you reflect differently, and then different pieces come up to you, and you're like, wow, I understand now. I have some healing work to do for myself, and only I can do it. It's not about anybody else. It's about me.
Yeah. And the reason why, like this business, is it okay if you tell us what the business was, or is that not something you want to share?
Oh, it was a beautiful, like, South Indian food business. We created these beautiful packaged products, and it was like one pot meals, curry powder, like super healthy, clean, and just, it made us so happy to put something like that out into the universe. And it comes from our own sense of, this is our comfort food. Let's share our comfort food. And people absolutely loved it, because not only was it clean, it was also super easy. It's like a one pot meal. You just add water, cook it, and you have this beautiful meal. And so to me, it was just something that I just saw the vision of it. Like, we were onboarding onto Amazon, and we had a co-packer, like we were ready. And then literally everything just fell apart. The partnership fell apart. And I thought, oh, I'll take the business over. But then that became not an option. And so I was just completely devastated. And I ended up closing the business down by myself. But I knew that my body was holding so much trauma. Like, emotionally, I was just, like, every part of me was just in bad shape. And I knew it, which is why when I closed the business down, like, it was December 31st of 2019, I knew I was ready. I said, you know what? I have to do something to help myself. And the first thing the universe lined up for me was to actually go to India, where my mom lives. And we went for a 21-day Ayurvedic detox.
Nice.
And that's kind of how I started my journey with the physical. And then when the pandemic happened, I went into more of the other parts of my journey.
I think this is a fantastic story. It's really, really, I can relate to parts of what you're talking about. I understand the loss. And even looking back now, we see that some of the losses that we've had to let go of, the grieving and everything, especially when it comes to your income, your creation, your business partnership, your brand. This is such a big deal. And on top of it, you had to deal with COVID. So this is big. It's so ridiculously huge. When you say trauma, I'm just like, oh my God, that is, and I'm so sorry that you had to go through this. And at the same time, you've made it through, and now you are firing on all cylinders. And with no trauma, with non-attachment. That's the word I wanted to use, is that when we're really truly in our flow, in our alignment with what we're creating today and how we're serving others in our relationships and all of that, it has to be with no attachment to, right? Because we have to let go. We had to let go, right?
100% let go. And I think for me, it's one of those things, it took me a while to get to a place where now, when I got to the place of launching my podcast, etc., I was able to look back and actually give gratitude to say, wow,
Yeah.
that was very painful, very traumatic. But without that, I would not be sitting here creating and birthing this incredible podcast, which I know just kind of the work that you're doing too, Kornelia, is really to elevate people and to remind them that they're so special and extraordinary. And yes, we're all going to go through hard times, but we're really all here to support each other. And our stories are the transformation, because if we can do it, it's going to give hope to someone else to say, you know what? I'm kind of at that beginning part of my journey, but wow, I can be inspired by all of these other beautiful people who have made it through, and they're still on their journey. The journey continues, but the inspiration and the stories that we get to share and listen to, I think, are truly transformative.
Yes, I love that so much. The wisdom gained, and then to be able to come back to where the pain once was and see it in gratitude. To release it in fully, wow, this really helped me grow. This really helped me let go. This really helped me for this next phase of my life. Because when we look back on our lives, every experience that we have, all the things, all the skills we learn, all the things, the experiences we have, it's all helping us to get to where we are now and how we're designing our life now, right?
Yes, absolutely. And using those situations, right, when we're ready, because you can't bypass, you have to do the work. But once you do the work, it's so incredible, right? Because you can literally see the gifts and all of these different opportunities for me to look at my business partner and to say, wow, thank you for what happened. It was super painful when it happened, but now when I look back, I'm like, wow, that was such a gift, so that I could enter into this part of my journey and come out on the other side and now do this. And this is truly, I feel, aligned with my soul.
Yes, that's so wonderful. So let's tell the audience where your podcast is, how they can join, what they can do to listen, because you are definitely helping others. And are you looking for guests as well? I'm curious. Or how do you find your guests?
Yeah, so I'll be honest, I've been incredibly fortunate. As I was going through my journey and when I was ready, I started to meet people. And during the pandemic, during the lockdown, it was primarily social media. And I started meeting these beautiful souls who had gone through their own journeys, who are healers and coaches. And they all kind of poured into me to a certain degree, even though they didn't know me at the time, but I started to build relationships with them. So before I even started my podcast, I literally had a list of 40 people. Like, nice. I was ready to go. I was ready to go. And I continue to meet amazing people like you who, of course, like we said, I would love to have you on my podcast, but I've just been very blessed. It's like I just keep meeting all these incredible people. And so I have a beautiful list. So that's been wonderful. So I feel very grateful for that.
Yeah. Do you do a podcast once a week or how does it go?
Yes, I do a podcast once a week. You can find me at Elevate with V. I'm on all the normal platforms, all the Apple, the Spotify, all of those wonderful things. I'm also on YouTube. And I know you're very kind. You put our links once you kind of do the show and wrap up. So that'll be wonderful to share that with the audience. And yeah, I'm just really excited to connect with your audience. And I can't wait to have you on my show. So I'm really excited about that. I'm so grateful for this opportunity today to be able to connect with you.
I feel so blessed also meeting you and hearing your story. I could relate to a lot of the things that you shared. And I also I'm definitely going to be coming on your show. And I also want to speak with you about further collaborations because you've got this magnetism. I just want to talk to you further. So I appreciate you coming on and inspiring us today with your story and with what you're creating and doing in the world and how you're showing up. It's brilliant that you had a list of 40 people. Who was I speaking with yesterday? Someone, probably one of my clients, writing a book. And so she's writing a book, and one of the things I invited her to do is the book isn't finished, but I invited her to pre-sell the book even before it's finished.
Ooh, I love that. That's fabulous. Love that.
Pre-sell, get the page up, get it up, start promoting it, get it done, keep writing, do your thing, pre-sell the book. And once it's published, send your copies to the people.
I love it. I love it. Absolutely beautiful.
Yeah. And so that you having a list, it's just, we are reverse engineering the way we used to do things. We're doing things differently. And that's thinking outside the box. Those are the visionaries. Yes. And that's how we're co-creating the new earth. I thank you so much, Vineeta. You're amazing.
Thank you so much. This has been such an honor, and I'm so looking forward to connecting with you outside of this. And again, thank you so much for this beautiful opportunity, and lots of love to you and everybody that's tuning in.
Thank you so much. Audience, we're going to take a break. We'll be right back. Thank you so much for listening and tuning into the Kornelia Stephanie Show. My next guest is Maxine Everret. She would experience her first great loss at the age of 10 when her great aunt passed away. That experience with death would leave a void that was filled quickly with a blossoming relationship with the Christ. She lacked the confidence to be her own person, not to be moved by the opinions of others, because of the challenges she faced at home. The tension at school, she began suffering from depression during her teenage years and often thought about committing suicide. But her relationship with Christ would hinder her from completing the task. In 2018, she would settle in Pearland, Texas, fleeing the comfort of living in her hometown of Bay City, Texas, due to the constant threats against her life and stalking from her estranged husband. The beginning of 2018 was filled with promises and hope for a peaceful future in her new location. Unfortunately, 2018 would cause her to live on faith. She did not know she had. Seek God like she never had before and pray for encouragement daily as she dealt with the passing of her grandmother, Roxy, on May 28th. And her mother would be found deceased on June 19th of that same year. Her 20-year relationship consisted of 10 years of marriage would come to an end with the finalizing of her divorce on November 5th, 2018. In spite of her losses, she followed through with her goal to return to Texas, in the Southern University, to finish out her degree in math and science and education in the fall of 2018. She completed it in November of 2020. In 2019, in July, her podcast was birthed, titled The Absence of Her, in memory of her mother, in which she shares her truth from childhood to adulthood about being sexually abused, living with the spirit of rejection, grief, and issues facing women daily. After being a client of therapy from 2017 to 2020, She promotes the need for being mentally healthy. And her belief is that she's not survived for self, but for the purpose to help others through her testimonies and truth. Her courageous voice has been heard across more than half the United States and few countries abroad. Thank you so much for coming onto the show today, Maxine.
Hi, how are you?
Oh my God.
I'm Everret Maxine. As you mentioned, I am the host and the creator of The Absence of Her podcast. When that podcast was birthed, I had never listened to a podcast before in my life.
Wow.
And so when my mother passed and I was going through the separation, it wasn't very known of the trials that I was going through. And people thought I had this perfect life because I grew up in a small town. And it was like, am I deceiving people? People are going through things every day. And so I just began sharing my stories, what I was going through daily. Had no idea anybody was going to actually listen. And so my first guest appearance was a lady out of Chicago, her radio show, in which I shared about the struggling marriage, my thoughts of suicide as a teenager, even how much I didn't. So Everret Maxine is my first and middle name. I was named after my paternal and maternal grandmothers. And so I used to hate the name, really. And then I grew to love myself and grew to love the name. So that's now my hashtag, I am Everret Maxine. And so my message is just, I share about grief because grief does not have to be an absolute life of depression and hopelessness. Just because they passed on, I think sometimes we feel like to love a person, we must mourn them forever. And that doesn't mean we, love them more because we cry every day. Grief is a natural process, but there's hope for tomorrow. You can live a positive life. And as, at the end of my bio, as you said, I live for the purpose to encourage others. So although our loved one has passed on, we're here to encourage others that you can survive and that there can be a positive outcome through your loss.
Right. And I just want to also highlight that it was you having deep faith and you having a relationship with your creator, with Christ, that was foundational, that was definitely foundational. And then as you were going through all the losses, which you went through a lot of loss in a short amount of time, it's not like over 50 years or whatever, but in a short amount, a cluster of grief and a cluster that you were going through it. And it was because of that faith that you had, that foundation that you had, that supported you through it. Would you say that's true?
Yes, absolutely. Because when you lose somebody, say if my mother passed and my friend's mother's passed, those two experiences aren't the same. So even though somebody's already gone through it, just saying, oh, I've been there, I understand it. No, it's not the exact same. A divorce, I knew my husband since I was 12. It's not the same. No, you might feel a loss, but the emotions are not the exact same.
Yeah, I think, that's an important piece to make a distinction with, because a lot of people, they when they share with what they're going through, a separation, a loss, a divorce, and somebody says, yeah, I understand, like you said, it's not a comparison. It cannot be compared because no one's walked in your shoes.
Right.
And no one's walked in your shoes. And here's the thing about it is that does the person really even have the time to listen to, the space to listen to what it looks like to walk in your shoes and what it really means, so that you can even try to even articulate all the things, because it's that much, it's that big.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. And I didn't even realize how big my life was until I started spitting out these episodes. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like all these different layers of things that I'd gone through. And one of those things that it uncovered that was therapy. I encourage anybody, to sit down and talk with somebody, because for me, you can have friends, you can have loved ones that listen, but therapists give you an unbiased feedback. Sometimes they can, when we're talking to friends, they kind of give advice sometimes where they want the direction they want you to go. Whereas when you're talking to a therapist, they understand and lead you in the direction you need to go.
And that's so good to say, because we have to remember too, when we're in our friendships as well, you know, are the friends growing with you in the same way that you're growing on an evolutionary soul journey where you're growing and you're expanding and you're gonna, right? Are they growing, or are they gonna hold you back? Right?
And that's a good question.
Yeah, because that's another thing, is because they're going to come from their filter. And that's why having a non-biased person, a coach, a therapist, a mentor, someone to speak to, that we're actually, that sacred space is created, and you go in and you talk about your life, what's you know, what you're experiencing. So how are you helping people today? What are you doing that where can people listen to you, follow you, learn about what you're doing?
So I have a Facebook page and an Instagram page that they can follow at I am Everret Maxine. I also do some inspirational word every now and then on TikTok. Same, I am Everret Maxine. That's kind of new. I'm not big on the TikTok thing, but I like it, kind of, sort of. My podcast is titled The Absence of Her. It's on Spotify, iHeartRadio, just about any outlet that you look up, you can find it.
Nice. So what do you do? You know, what does your daily life look like today? Like how are you, you know, what's a day in the life of your life?
Oh, very busy, because I am a volunteer. So I'm a middle school teacher. So we're getting ready to go back to school. I'm hands-on with our student ministry at church. I'm also a CASA guardian ad litem, which means I represent abused and neglected children. I'm also helping build a mentoring program for youth. And so I'm just very busy.
Wow. I actually know of a lady, your schedule, amazing. I actually know of a person that is an ex-school teacher that developed a program that helps young girls. So I'd like to connect the two of you, because you probably know some of the young girls that she can support.
Okay.
Does that sound like something?
That sounds so awesome. Yes.
Yeah, because she does amazing work, and she has a program called Grace and Grit for young girls, helping young girls. Like, I don't know what the age group is, like 13 or something,
Okay.
something like that. But I'd love to. Let's stay connected. I know you're like super busy doing amazing things, and I'm so proud of you for staying true to who you are and uncovering all the pain and letting it go, and that you persevered, and now you're helping others.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much for coming on the show. And I also like I am Everret Maxine. I like that too. I am Kornelia Stephanie, and I want to thank you so much for coming on the show today, everyone. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you again next time. Take good care.
You've been listening to the Kornelia Stephanie Show, Wake Up to Love, your call to action. Tune in each week on Transformation Talk Radio. Kornelia's joy is to engage others in practical ways, showing us how to live in the new earth in harmony with our true nature. For more information on Kornelia and her extraordinary work, or to listen to past shows, go to her website at korneliastephanie.com.